millions of students are heading back to school, and there are a lot of things on parents' minds. One of them is sticker shock. One analysis found that the cost of school supplies rose nearly 8% since last year, averaging nearly $175 per child, and the average cost of packing a school lunch is up more than 10% compared to last year. What do you say to parents who are struggling not just with how to manage schooling, but also the economic strains of it?
Did you ask Biden that question? I'm pretty sure she didn't ask Joe Biden, what are you going to do? Because people are paying so much more. I remember they came out during the barbecue last year and said, hot dogs are 17 cents less. You remember all that? But now she wants to approach her with, you're going to pay for someone else's kids because it's 8% higher. I mean, they had to reach for that stat. And this is 10% higher. Oh, you had to reach for that one, a whole 10%, huh?
Well, I think if you look at what's going on throughout the country, really, there are some price upticks, I think, but the general economy is so strong and doing so well, and I think as students are headed back to school, our parents should have a lot to look forward to this year. I mean, some of the work that we've been doing over the past year to make sure that parents are more in charge of the education that is going on in their states with their children, to have more access to school records. They know that we've been working very hard to make sure that children are safer in school relative to, and this stat will probably blow your mind, it did mine. 1 in 10 children, statistics show 1 in 10 children before they finish high school will be sexually molested in school.
Dana Bash wasn't ready for that stat. I love how she turned that around real quick. Oh, yeah, you want to talk about some finances. How about the fact that kids are being abused in school, Dana? Because that's probably a little bit more important. Kids' safety, making sure kids aren't being touched and things done to them in school. You want to go over that a little bit, Dana?
So one of the things that we have really focused and really driving on is looking at what is going on in schools. There were California schools that actually were reported events of this. We've been investigating it.
Where did that stat come from? Did you do a study?
Yes, we did.
Why didn't she ask you that about your numbers? Hey, where'd that 8% and 10% come from? Did you do a study? Is it for all 50 states, or is California and with Minnesota? What states are 8% higher, Dana? But when she gives you a stat, you turn around and go, I want the source. Yeah, typical liberal.
We did a study, and it came from the general education statistics that were afforded to us. And so when we looked at that, and we really looked at those stats coming out of California, so we said, what is really going on here in these schools? And what happens is the teachers don't get, or sometimes it's faculty and sometimes the staff that's working in the schools. And instead of firing those teachers just get sent to another school. And it's not part of their record or anything. So we have really been cracking down on that as well.
Yeah, and just as you know, parents are struggling with the economy. I know they
She completely ignored it. Yeah, people are struggling with the economy. You don't even want to address what she just said? Did she just talk into a vacuum? Did nobody hear what she just said about kids being abused at school? Nobody? Right back to, people are struggling. Well, how about the kids that are struggling to stay safe? Don't even want to bring that up. It's fact, because you said, a lot of it came from California. Nope, don't want to talk about that. I'm not prepared to even discuss that. Let's go back to the economy.
Economic indicators are better, but the affordability crisis is real. I want to talk about AI in the classroom. You issued guidance last week saying schools should evaluate AI tools based on evidence of effectiveness and learning outcomes. The tools haven't been around very long, so there are no real studies, certainly not long-term comprehensive studies. It's not possible since AI is so new. And yet Google, for example, expanded its use of AI, Gemini, in classrooms. OpenAI just introduced ChatGPT Teens. Are you concerned that students are effectively becoming sort of guinea pigs for chatbots?
No, what I'm concerned, can I take this one, Linda? Do you mind? What I'm concerned about is all these kids that can't read and they're being pushed through graduation. I'm concerned about kids can't add, they can't do multiplication, and they're being given diplomas. I'm concerned that the University of Michigan isn't publishing grades anymore because the kids fail so much and they don't want their pee-pees hurt. That's what I'm concerned about as Department of Education. That's what I want to know is why can these kids not read? Why can they not add? Why can't they do 2 times 2? Why can't they do simple multiplication? We've had teachers crying. I've showed you videos because they can't fill in the dots on a sentence. And you're worried about AI? Let me tell you a personal story about AI. And it happened last night. And I called Robin because I was here at the office. And I went, Robin, I know you're already right with God. We need to get righter. And she started laughing. She's like, what happened? And I said, earlier in the day, I told her, because I was here all day working on something, and there was a problem, and it was really getting to me. And what it was is we started doing the Bible giveaways last year in one database, and the shipping is in a different database, and those 2 databases don't talk to each other. And I was concerned if I pulled Bibles yet to be shipped, there would be a conflict. And she's just talking, well, you'll figure it out. Hey, use AI if you want to. You're really good with AI, blah, blah. And we started talking about dinner. And I sat here and I went, okay. I want you to take database A and merge it with database B. And I want you to take the names in database A that haven't received their Bibles and extract it from this list. So if you've ever done anything like that with Excel, just figure out how long that would take you. If you had to give it to an assistant or something that you're paying somebody for, ask them how long it would take them to do all this. I called Robin back. I'm like, it took 7 minutes, honey. I'm sitting here watching it on the screen and it's like, boom, here you go. And I'm like, no way. No way. I just did a 7-minute task of merging databases, excluding the different variables between, make sure there were no duplicates, make sure nobody had already been shipped, and I have a brand new list. And she's like, great, 7 minutes. Don't worry about the AI. Worry about the people who don't know what to ask. You see, in order to even happen what I did yesterday, you have to know how to formulate the entire situation. You have to be able to talk to the AI like you're talking to a human. You can't say, just give me the answer. You got to be able to use the prompt, which prompts are becoming obsolete at this point. You got to talk. And here's what I want. What's your problem? I got this and this and this. Okay, here's what you got to do. And bam, in 7 minutes, did it just not spit out a completely new, brand new spreadsheet where I can load into the shipping program. But it told me, if you want me, I can do that too. I can upload it. And I'm like, get out of here. So you can upload it too? Yeah, I can upload it. And I can also print all the I'm like, get out of here. So I can, who's getting fired? Who do I not need anymore?
I do think that what we have to make sure we're looking at is how much screen time students have in school, but what is that screen time? We want to make sure that there is effectiveness for students. And I've had the privilege of going down to Austin, Texas, to the Alpha School and seeing how AI is really working in that particular school. The first couple of hours every day, students really have on headphones. They're in front of their computers. They're getting their subjects fed to them, with all teachers monitoring what they're doing. And the beauty of that is that a student almost has a one-on-one tutor.
I wanted to show you as she was talking. It's really interesting. Let me just rewind just a little bit. There it is. I wanted to look at that. So you see Dana got ready for this interview. And as she got ready for this interview, she has a whole bunch of papers in front of her, which may be articles or studies or whoever's talking to her in her ear. I can guarantee you that at some point somebody said, get this stuff, print it out, make sure that Dana has it, which I don't understand why you need all that paper unless it's for show. You should be able to take all that information that you have and have it ready on a screen someplace. But Does she not know how to use AI?
And the beauty of that is that a student almost has a one-on-one tutor. So the teacher can monitor to see if a child is a bit behind and repeat information for them. If a child is really excelling, then their programs get sped up a bit. So it's a great tool, to have in this particular school. And I think that's what we have to look at with AI is who's going to get it, how long are students going to be exposed to it, what is the outcome? And you're right, there aren't a lot of metrics available now, and I think that's what we really have to look at is these ed tech companies are introducing these new products to see what is the effectiveness. Are we seeing better outcomes in schools? And if we're not, then they should be pulled out. But I have seen it work so well in the introductions that I've seen. So it's AI with guardrails, and as we introduce it, I think slowly in schools, it can be a very effective tool used properly.
Do you think that what you saw down in Austin, what you just described, is a proper model?
Oh, it's working wonderfully, and they've been doing it now for a few years. And then I talked to some of the students who were there after this 2-hour block, and then the rest of the day is spent in the application of what they're learning. And so it's incredibly effective for this school, for these students. And I'm not saying that works everywhere, but I think that's what we have to look at.
And that's going to be one of my questions, which is, do you believe parents should be able to opt out of using AI as a...
Why would any parent opt out of using AI? Why would any parent not want their child to learn at the most advanced level possible? There's only one reason I could think of that any parent would want to opt out of that. Because the teachers union, or somebody said, we're going to lose our jobs. This thing can teach kids much better than we can. I bet you're going to find some studies that come out very, very soon that say that teaching with AI is light years ahead of utilizing some teacher who doesn't know how to use AI. You can't, it would be like the blind leading the blind. If the teacher isn't well versed on it, then the kid's not, there's nowhere for the kid to learn. It's funny, Christina, welcome back, Christina, and congratulations. She had posted this. I can write 2 hours of code in about 5 minutes. And obviously, Christina is out of high school. She's out of grammar school, but she has taught herself at this point that she can write 2 hours of code in 5 minutes. A teacher can't do that. The teacher should be able to say, hey, listen, here's what we're going to do. We want you to use AI, understand the prompt you have to use to arrive at a problem, but you still need the basics, because if you can't write, you can't prompt. That's pretty simple.
Teaching tool if they so choose?
I certainly think that parents should be very much involved in their children's education. If they're going and they're involved and they are looking to see what is happening with their child, I think it's up to the school to be able to show, okay, this is what we hope to accomplish. This is how we believe this is going to be helpful to your child in particular, and let us show you the outcome. And if the parent is not seeing that outcome, the parent has every right to go in and say, no, I want something different for my child.
And how are you not concerned at all about the benefits of having the individual sort of tutorial, if you will, via AI being outweighed by the human interaction that every student, every person gets?
What are you talking about? These kids can't read. They're getting into malls and having wilding episodes. They're doing these teen takeovers. Why the hell would the AI be a problem? If you can't read and you can't write and you can't do math, then the individual instruction isn't working. There's an entire town in Maryland. There are swaths of school systems where people can't read at their grade level. Never mind doing numbers and arithmetic, they can't do anything. And so I'm struggling. Maybe you guys can tell me, what the hell is Dana Bash talking about? Well, to me, it only sounds like she's protecting teachers. she understands, and I don't have a problem with it, but she understands a lot of teachers are probably going to lose their jobs. A lot of teachers are going to be, I don't know, talking into the abyss. There's no way kids could be failing at reading, writing, and doing math if the teachers were proficient. And now instantly, I mean literally instantly, kids can become much more proficient. And if they become more proficient without the need of a teacher, then there's going to be a whole lot of teachers out of work. So is that what Dana is doing? I don't know. Maybe you guys in the chat can tell me. Why is she so worried about this?
From a teacher, even if they're just monitoring there, it's not the same as actually learning from a human being. Is that something that you're thinking about as you continue to go around the country and think about these massive changes in policy?
Sure.
What? I don't care whether my son, my daughter, my stepchild, I don't care if they're learning from a human being or if they're learning from AI. Hopefully there's some sort of mesh where you get the best of both worlds. And if you're doing homeschooling, even better. So I'm struggling to understand where she's going with this. And I want you to put yourself in a position of start young. You have a 7-year-old kid at home. Maybe you have a 7 or 8-year-old grandchild at home. And what do you expect the teachers in school to be giving to that child? And then measure that with what they're actually getting. Ashley used to be a teacher. She's told me the horror stories. They don't know anything, and they're not getting any support at home. It's like, hey, listen, go to school. They'll feed you. They're going to eat you. They're going to, feed you and clothe you and everything else. And when you get home, I don't have anything to do, except that's when the teaching should start, when the kid gets home from school. So I'm not sure what her trepidation is here.
And just let me, reemphasize that the Department of Education doesn't control curriculum in the classroom. But what I have seen and what I really want to be able to talk to educators about when I am touring, and I've been to 40 states now, I think that human interaction is incredibly important. So the use of AI is a balance. It is no different than any other new tool that's introduced in the classroom. It's how effective are the teachers being able to interact with the students and work with them. Nothing should replace that one-on-one with teacher interaction with students because they need that. Students need to be able to communicate with each other. And they need to have that interaction. They need to get out on the playground. They need to be doing all of these things that are part of their education. I think we got away from it.
One of the trends that is happening really globally is limiting, as you mentioned, screen time, and even in some places totally banning phones from school. First of all, do you think that's a good idea?
Okay, so this is a controversial topic in terms of banning things so that kids can't get access, banning books, banning phones, banning things. From the government's perspective, I have a problem with that. And here's why. If you're making kids learn at an early age, they have to be compliant, then they'll never question things. You can't do that. Why? We said you can't do it. Instead, again, here we go. I don't need a government entity banning something. If I was raising a child and if that child I saw was having too much screen time, then guess what? You're not bringing that phone to school. Or I'm going to put some restrictions in terms of where you can surf. The only thing I want you to be able to do is basically call me if you need something. I don't want you sitting in school doing this and doing weenie pics and all kinds of stuff like that. I had a dinner last 2 weekends ago with the sheriff buddy of mine who works in a school, and he's like, you wouldn't believe the stuff that these kids are passing around in school. Taking pictures of the weenies and sending it to little girls, and little girls, taking shots underneath their shirt, and they're going back and forth, basically with kiddie porn. Instead, just saying they can't do that. You can't go to this site. You can't, you definitely ain't going on TikTok. That ain't happening. There's all kinds of parental controls that you can put on these things. You can say between the hours of 9 and, 4 o'clock, you can't access anything other than my phone number. So my problem is, once again, they're trying to let government decide how you raise your child. I want to know I can trust my child. If I had an 8, 9, 10, 12-year-old kid, 14 going to school, I want to know I can trust you. I'm telling you right now, you're going to school to read, write, and play sports. I'm trusting you not to do anything. And the first time, you're going to get a warning. The second time, you might get disciplined. The third time, you ain't got a phone. It's gone. Explain to your friends, I don't have a phone. Sorry, too bad. That's it. Some people say you get one shot. I'd at least give them 2 shots. The third shot, you're done. I want to be able to trust him or her. I don't need the government to decide what my child can or can't do.
I am such a proponent of bell to bell, no cell in the classroom. And I think that we've proven that taking cell phones out of the classroom during the school day, kids can concentrate better. They have better communication with each other. They're actually enjoying conversations in the hallways again. And teachers have said to me over and over again, this has really been a great thing to take these sort of recreational distractions, away from children in the classroom. And now I think we have to think about screen time, whether are we looking at it as recreational screen time or are we looking at it as tutorial screen time? So there is a right balance to be used in the classroom, and getting rid of the recreational screen time, I'm a proponent for, I'm 100%.
I want to ask you about another move that you are pushing, and you're not the only one, the whole question of whether or not it's the right thing to push all students to college, or whether it's...
All right, so this is where it takes the turn, and you realize, this whole thing has been about you protecting teachers, protecting the machine, protecting the liberal indoctrination, because she smiles and she's got a soft voice, but this is what they're really concerned. Not even the AI. This is the teachers. This is the educational machine's worst nightmare.
Better for some people to attend a trade school like plumbing, electrical work, HVAC, which you can get a job that pays very, very well. But one of the things that it seems is happening is that there is kind of a push to start students on a track as early as elementary school.
Why is that a problem? Pretty much, if I see, and it's funny when I heard this question, because you just saw what President Trump did. At the meeting, and this took place yesterday, President Trump knew this got asked, and what did he do? He goes, hey, all you little kiddies want to go see some construction? And I thought to myself when he said it, I'm like, oh my gosh, he knew where Lyndon McMahon went. He understood that this is something else that's pissing off the liberals. They don't want kids knowing anything about trade. Oh, you're going to be one of those dirty kids that gets out there and actually does stuff? I'm going to college. And right now, he just completely flipped the script today. Hey, let's go look at a construction site. Let me introduce you to some of the guys and girls out there. And Dana Bash yesterday was like, I think it's a disturbing trend. You're telling kids not to go and spend $50,000, $60,000 a year to learn how to be a, social activist. And she walked right into a trap.
Is that too early?
I don't think so, because I think what we can do is look at students. What are their interests? How do we direct them down a pathway that they're going to have an interest, in school? And I believe that children need a well-rounded education, but I think we have focused too long for just that path to a four-year university. And sometimes we ignore what the actual skill sets of those students are. And so as I have looked at middle schools, and I've been to community colleges, and I look at the combinations and how these community colleges are working with middle schools, they have dual credits, middle schools and high schools for skilled trades. We are really making great advances to get our skilled workforce ready to go.
Which makes sense. I mean, middle school, that's maybe debatable, but elementary school should.
Why do you have a problem with that, Dana? I can tell you as a young boy growing up, I'm talking like young, 6 and 7, and you probably know some young kids too. What's the first thing we do? We got in the dirt and we played and we dug stuff up. Go to the beach. Go to the beach, Dana. What are kids doing at the beach? They're digging up sand. They're working with their hands. And then, as you go forward, you decide where you want to go, what track you want to be. And it's very interesting to me. Ashley does these like time-lapse photos, and she'll take a picture of one of the grandkids at a certain age, and she'll compare it to where they are today. She sent me our grandson's time lapse of when he looked like he was 5 or 6 and what his today. And when he was 5 or 6, whatever age that photo was, says, what do I want to do when I grow up? Because I want to be a pharmacist. Of course, because his father's a pharmacist. Now, if you asked him the same thing, he's probably going to have a different ideology as to what he wants to do. But at least you start getting them into a track of here's what you want to do, here's how you're going to get there, and here's how you're going to succeed. And I'm pretty sure every single one of you, if you're a little grandchild, or what do you want to do with the rest of your life? I want to be a social activist. That's not going to happen. What's next? I want to be an influencer. Nah, that's not going to happen. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, you're pretty much telling me you're destined for Starbucksdom. You're going to be making people coffee. You're going to be making people sandwiches. Because both of those two things that you have in mind, there is no longevity for. You are destined to pouring coffee, writing the name on the cup, and handing it over for somebody else. You don't have what it takes. And now what we're seeing is so many kids going to college, not knowing why they're there, except for, get stoned and drunk for 4 years or play football, and then coming out and going, now what do I do? Whereas if you just give that kid the option that you might want to tinker with things, I don't know, who knows? You might want to build something. You might want to electrify something. You might want to do something. You might want to fix cars. Whatever it is, if the kid likes it, those skills aren't going to go away for the most part. We're going to continue to see those skills. But the Democrats, oh God, no. You're going to make them work with their hands. They're going to have greasy fingers with sludge under it. They're going to build stuff. They're going to make things happen. They're going to succeed without us having to tell them what they need to say. Boy, I'm telling you right now, one of the things that these socialists have done have shown us these people are bat poop crazy. And I just saw something on television. I got to look it up. I'll cover it tomorrow. But you guys know the brand Lululemon? Lululemon makes shirts and designer stuff and all that. They're calling these people Lululenins. Lenin, like the Russian, dictator. They're Lululenins. I'm like, that's just a fantastic name.
There'd just be a focus on basic critical thinking and perhaps some of the specific training and the path should be later in a child's schooling?
Well, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think you can have some introduction of skilled, skilled trades in elementary school, but everything you can't direct it from Washington, D.C. How does each school work? What are the needs of that community? How are parents interacting, with teachers? And I think that is so critical as to what community needs. And that's why we really want to return education to the states.
One last thing I do want to ask you about higher ed. You sent a call to action letter.
I got to talk to you about higher education. We got to go back to there, okay? We got to go back to, we need the feeders. We need to keep feeding people into this thing called indoctrination. And you're telling kids they don't have to go through the indoctrination. Oh my, what are we going to do? Dana, how much of a college education is needed for what you do? I would have asked that question to her straight up. I know you went to college, but is a college education needed for what you do? From what I can see here, Dana, you get a nice looking outfit, maybe some jewelry, and you have somebody else do your hair, you put on some makeup, and you read. You read the questions that somebody else wrote up. Yes, you have to be able to read, but that's about the extent of what you need to do. Someone else is running the camera. Somebody else is doing the editing. Somebody else is doing everything. You just show up in your purple outfit and with your hair and jewelry just looking right, and let somebody sit back and let them do your makeup and read the questions somebody puts out there in front of you. So tell me, Dana, did you need college? I would love for her to answer that question.
The university presidents earlier this month urging them to reform their commitments to fair admissions policies, free speech, and tuition affordability, among others. If a university declines to respond or responds in a way that either disagrees with or is not in alignment with what you're asking, will the Trump administration again move to withhold federal funds?
Well, we're certainly going to always monitor what our universities are doing, but what I have seen is this incredible positive response to the letter. And universities saying, look, let me tell you what we're already doing. We're already doing this relative to making sure that we do have free speech on campus, making sure that there is room for debate as we have truth seekers that are on campuses, that we are hiring, really with a view of making sure that our teachers are going to continue to foster, free speech on their campuses, but at the same time, and we want to.
Yeah, see, that's the problem. They don't want people being individuals. They need you to be lockstep and doing what the whack jobs want these kids to do.
Have meritocracy for students who are going into school to make sure they are ready for college.
And not trying to simply replace what you believe is kind of a one track on one side of the political aisle with another.
No. This should be totally across the aisle. In fact, the letter that I received, or the response from Governor DeSantis in Florida, was showing me that at least once a quarter, at the Florida schools, they have open debates that are required, both sides of the aisle, and to really discuss issues and have the professors involved in all of that. That's what we're looking for. Open debate, open discussion. Yes, the collision of ideas is what really puts education forward. And if we just have one side or the other side, we don't have that collision, and we need it.
She mentioned DeSantis, so it probably caused her to break out in hives. I mean, he again is somebody like a kryptonite for the left. But I just love how she took that interview and understood. She was very calm with it, and how she understood how Dana was trying to take that whole thing about why would you show kids how to do a trade at a young age? Oh my God, they might learn how to operate a crane and make $100,000 a year instead of like going through Baroque studies or something and just being a influencer. It's insane.